What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson alongside my brother Mike here at Tenuto Sports Arena on a Thursday night. A little unexpected, but we got a conversation that we need to discuss. And I think it's one that is very telling, but I also think it's one that the writing has been on the wall and no one wanted to talk about it. So this isn't one of those uncomfortable conversations. I just think it's really a question of why did it take so long? But Mike, good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining me on this. Listen, let's just get right down to it. We saw it came out earlier today that one Skylar Diggins-Smith was in fact going to miss the last two regular season games for the Phoenix Mercury. We just found out about 40 minutes ago that she is not returning for the rest of the 2022 season. And so, Mike, I mean, you're out there in Phoenix. You cover this team whenever you're not doing your Forks Up ASU, but talk to me about what you've heard.
Yeah, Megan's kind of been percolating about it anyway. With starting with the All-Star game, and Vanessa Nygaard saying, ripping in that there's no Taurasi, and then we meant no disrespect towards Skylar. And look, I think that was kind of more of in our day and age, there's more of a media thing, like drama. Look, after that, she went to the All-Star game, came back, and had quite a few big games. So if it's a coaching thing and a front office thing, and the rumors of maybe trading her, but the fact that it comes 2 games before the end of the regular season, and they're suspending her contract too, so no playoffs. They lost last night, and I know they have they have Dallas coming up. And then obviously the Sky. So, it's just awkward timing, and it says for personal reasons. So maybe it is, like I said. I've been reaching out to some one of the beat writers, one of the guys I know has been around it a little more than has a little more access than I do. Not ashamed to say, but everything that even just being around a little bit and talking to people, I don't know where this is coming from. So if it's a family thing and they don't want to release it, nobody's dug and found anything yet. And I put a few feelers out there, but yeah, it's the timing obviously is odd, as you stated. But man, if you're tied, you had a chance if you would have won last night to pretty much can lock a playoff spot, but now they're tied with 5 other teams for 2 spots. So it's
right.
And they need her. No Taurasi, because Taurasi, will obviously missing the games. They go to the playoffs with the quad strain. As you and I both know, a quad strain sucks, but it's a lot better than a hamstring. That's
Amen.
more so. That's also more so managing the pain. So, and again, for Taurasi not to be playing, but you lose Taurasi. This team's dealt with so much, and obviously Brittany Griner. It's not like, they've kept her name in the spotlight. It's not like they're, burdened to talk about her. It's a domestic issue or some terrible, something that happened here. She's wrongfully detained. But man, it's been a roller coaster of a year. But, and I know her and Taurasi, the little screaming in the timeout earlier back. But the timing gets everybody, I think. So, and the more I've dug up, I should say little, what I've dug up, it's just, I gotta say, it might be something with, like I said, it's personal reasons. Could be family thing. I don't know.
Okay, so let's break it down piece by piece, because I think it's a culmination of things. I think first and foremost is the fact that Brittany Griner is not there, and we will continually say her name, and we continually want her home. So whatever needs to happen on the highest level of our government, do whatever you need to do and bring Brittany Griner home. You couple that with, there seems to be a bit of a disconnect between her and DT. Now, DT is DT. She is a athlete in her own right. She beats to her own drum, which is why so many people, both in and out of the WNBA, consider her to be the GOAT. And I understand that. But we are in a delicate era right now where the littlest thing can get a person canceled. The smallest little slight just even if it has the best of intentions, if a person takes it the wrong way, it can snowball into something so much more than what it truly is. You put that into perspective with then a new first year head coach in Vanessa Nygaard, who we know, and Megan, our Queen of Hoops, Megan Price, has said on many occasions, Vanessa Nygaard should be relieved of her duties expeditiously. And I'm being politically correct when I say that. I am just thinking that if it is a personal issue, I think that might have been the final straw to break the camel's back to where Skylar was like, you know what? This is getting to be a little too much for me. I think maybe it's best that I take my leave for the rest of this season and mentally and emotionally, maybe even physically, spiritually, whatever it is, figure out how to fix me first. Because at the end of the day, Skylar Diggins-Smith has to be loyal to Skylar Diggins-Smith. But the timing, like you say, Mike, when you have an opportunity to get back to the playoffs, when you are in a position to actually get the team that beat you in the finals last year, possibly as the first round, the way things were shaping up and looking up, Phoenix could have very well been the 8 seed or the 7 seed. And I know the Sky are just starting their game right now against the Las Vegas Aces, but it could have matched up to where the first round of the 2022 WNBA playoffs would have been a rematch of the WNBA finals between the Chicago Sky and the Phoenix Mercury. So now let's look at this. Brittany Griner, not there. DT, not there. Now Skylar, not there. I have all love in the world for Sophie Cunningham, but outside of those four, really, and I'm just being 100 with you. Outside of those four, who else you got? You need that core nucleus, and the core nucleus just isn't there.
No, it's not. I mean, and when you obviously Brittany Griner, they've listed her all year on the injury report saying not with team. But yeah, it's all four of those things. And I know, first year coach getting fired, and me, I'm very much against it. But you lose Sandy Brondell too. I mean, to go on top of that, like, it's very, very tough. And yeah, when you look at it, like, it started there, and they brought in Vanessa Nygaard. And again, I liked. Yeah, it's a press conference. We always talk about winning the press conference, but yeah, she knew there were going to be some bumps. And then, like you said, though, not having that stabilizer in Brittany Griner. I mean, you have, and Kia Nurse has been out real quick. She's been out. She's out with an ACL too. So I mean, it's been one thing after another for the Mercury. But yeah, when you look at it, like, I just think that for Vanessa Nygaard, like, everything that could go wrong this season has gone wrong. I mean, and I laugh, not laughing at, obviously, what's going on with Brittany Griner, but I mean, something like that, you're like, holy wow. And then you come into a season and you bring in some players, and it's like, man, it's looking pretty good. And then doesn't start out good. People are at each other's throats. Then they, string together a few wins, get around 500. Then they're back and forth. And for Skylar, again, I mean, it's frustrating. And I don't think she had an issue with DT. I mean, again, competitive things when you're on a court and on a field, Eric, as good as I do, that it's one of those things where, you're going to say things to a teammate, but teammates, players of that level, like you're saying to Taurasi, I mean, a Skylar Diggins-Smith who's had a fight and claw, for people always say, oh, it's so cliche when you guys say that. But I mean, again, she's a smaller guard, even, in the WNBA, she's a smaller guard. But yet she lights up the scoreboard. I mean, she was averaging almost 20 points a game this year for him. And when everything was kind of going crazy off the court, it seemed like she was a stabilizer. And if it is I'm with you. I mean, when you say it from that point, if it is a personal issue, I mean, it's saying, for personal issues, but if it's something with a family, you're right. I mean, maybe it's just too much that, the straw that broke it. And if, not that she's going to ask Diana Taurasi's permission. But if they talked again, more is going to come out. It's just, well, I think it will. I mean, they could be tight-lipped, nobody's saying anything, and I know the Mercury obviously aren't going to comment anymore. They're just going to comment saying, we released our statement. She's not with the team for personal reasons. But for her career, I think obviously, I mean, as a Mercury fan, I know, for Mercury fans, I know obviously with DT, but she's definitely one of the favorites. I mean, how stoked I was when they got her, 2 seasons ago in the offseason. I was saying to you, damn, with DT and now with Brittany Griner, you'll get some, and with all the talent, I'm like, you get somebody good and that wants to come, maybe play for another championship, win another ring. It could happen. And she proved it. I mean, she lived up to it. And, like you said, with Sophie Cunningham and even, missing Kia Nurse this year. I mean, she was a big part to, coming off the bench last year. And a lot of times she started, I know she came off the bench, but she did whether she came off the bench, or started there, because one of those things that Kia Nurse was another that held it together. And the team was just, you don't get to the finals without being together. And it started with Brittany Griner. Kia Nurse goes out. Tina Charles barely makes it half a season. So it's like, what the heck is going on? And now for Skylar to do this look, I'll say this because I know we can get into this too. And I know what you're saying. If it's obviously family's more important than anything. So if it's something, whatever's going on there, you definitely want it to be okay and right and work out. But like, another team will take her. I mean, I would want her back here in Phoenix, but like I said, the contract is not voided, but suspended. So I know fans would want her back, but to Megan's point, and again, I think if Vanessa Nygaard gets fired, I mean, it's not, and I'm not saying it's a WNBA, but in any sport, any team that's fired first-year coaches, I mean, as much as, and I think about, every time we just talk to Alex, the Cleveland Browns are irrelevant. But when he says that, Eric, because how many times have you and I have discussed before, Alex, like if you fire a coach in any sport after the first year, if you're in a league, you're one of 30, one of 32, whatever. But it doesn't matter because you're not going to get a good candidate. Going to be like, okay, if I don't win with the dumpster fire they are, I'm going to get fired after a year. Like, why am I going to bust, my chops, be away from my family, once the preseason's, August 1st rolls around, pretty much, I'm going to be away from my family, 16 hours a day, 14, 15, 16 hours a day, and fire somebody. So it's not the Mercury's thing to do that. But again, man, it's not that, and it's tough about taking sides too, because you think if they bring her back, it's just Vanessa Nygaard, want her back, and the front office says this. So maybe she will be gone. But I just, I hope everything works out.
There needs to be a come to Jesus meeting between the front office, Vanessa Nygaard, and the team themselves. That's how I feel. I am in complete agreement with you, with regard to Vanessa Nygaard. Do I feel she needs to be fired? No, because you could not have predicted that the Phoenix Mercury were going to look like this year. Okay. No one could have foreseen what was going to happen. I don't feel that's a detriment to Vanessa Nygaard. This is where the Queen of Hoops and I disagree. I feel she should be allowed to stay in her role and build this team. It takes coaches. This is where you and I agree. It takes coaches a considerable amount of time. There's a window of opportunity. Okay. And I get it. It's one of 12 positions with regard to the WNBA. I understand that. And a lot of these head coaches are also general managers. So they're carrying multiple hats. That may or may not be the case with Vanessa Nygaard, but I am saying she should not be relieved of her duties based on all this. What I will say to you is where I have a bit of an issue is I feel as though as a first-year head coach, she's inexperienced in her pre- and post-game press conferences. I feel that there were areas of opportunity for her to where she could have either A, redirected, or B, just said no comment if she felt a certain way. But in an age where, as media and just as individuals, we're always saying we want that full transparency. Well, then guess what? If that's how she honestly feels about it and she honestly gave it to us, then we can't fault her for that. All right. Getting back to Skylar Diggins-Smith, you know, again, my hope is that she is okay. My hope is that whatever she is going through right now, she has the support of her family, her friends, and her inner core, her inner circle that's going to be there for her. But I am just looking at everything that has transpired this season, from losing Sandy Brondella to losing Brittany Griner to the incident, whether it was just a moment or if there actually is some
Well, and Eric, they did a good
underlying.
job of squashing it right away. So I'm with you. I think there could be underlying.
But Mike, that's an athlete's playbook, like chapter 2.
Well,
okay. Chapter 1 is how to conduct yourself. And chapter 2 is, should an altercation ensue on the court or on the field between you and one of your teammates, immediately you do not give the media, you do not give the public any ammunition to add to the fire that you started. Okay. So sometimes you got to push it down and just say, okay, I'm sucking up, I'm gonna deal with it. But if it's all that, if it's the fact that she doesn't have Key and Nurse, you take all those things into consideration. Maybe this was her breaking point. We will not know. We won't get the full story. We may never get the full story. But I said I was going to address this tonight because it just seems like when you still are in a position to make it to the postseason and you are putting up the numbers that you are putting up, and you are now a key component to the success of this team, when you throw your hands up in the air and say, I can't do it anymore, that's where I have a problem. And this is where I will say, if in fact she has walked out on this team because of everything, Skylar Diggins-Smith, I hope you are able to get yourself back to where you once were, because the game will not be the same. She is explosive.
Yeah.
She is hungry. She's committed. I respect the hell out of what she does. But the timing is where I have just a bit of a concern. And you know me, very much like you. I was texting you earlier today, like, Mike, you're out there. What's going on? You're like, I'm trying to find out. But then, when it was just the 2 games, I was like, okay, let's get the intel before we talk about it. But now we're being told she's not coming back. And that's what I'm like, it's just like yellow flag. Now it's a red flag. Right. And I'm just sitting here and I'm saying to myself, really?
Well, and like I said, it obviously affects what they can do. Again, still 2 games left. If they win both, if they were to win both, I mean, they would be in the playoffs. But it can't, like you said, there's a disconnect there, and it's not like he was talking contract extension or his contract thing. So there's a disconnect there. You're right, within with the coach. It might, I'm not even going to say it's the front office, but like with the team, or how it's running. Yeah, maybe it does come from up top. Maybe she has said certain things, and that's that. But I mean, even if they get in and DT comes back, I mean, you can't. It'd be very tough to win a series, a championship, let alone a series. But yeah, no, I mean, you want, again, in this day and age, and I know certain athletes have been. I mean, I've had my battles not with people that have mental health issues, because we've talked about this before. It is serious, but when somebody goes crying wolf, and I'm not, Scott Diggins-Smith obviously isn't doing this, but I'm just saying, like,
right,
the stress and and yeah, I get it. You're playing a professional, you're playing a game, you're very highly paid, and that's that. Like, you're gonna play a game that you're highly paid for. And yeah, okay, there is pressure because, the second, like you said, media and again, media wants transparency. If I was a coach, and you and I have kidded around this before, I would just be saying the most off track, furthest from ridiculous things. Because no, it's not. If you're the coach too, no, like yeah, it is a game, but like, and as much as I say Bill Belichick's conferences are annoying, I've always appreciated it because what can he say? And it's like, you take press conferences to a thing like, yeah, I'm just going to tell you everything that I'm going to give you. Actually, I'm going to give you the code to our play sheet so you can publish it, so the other team can, and it's ridiculous like that. But for them not to even have for it to like come out, and again, now it's going to be in a press conference because I do watch, I will watch if again not at a game, but and nights we've had our shows, like I'll watch their post game pressers, because I have them up and I'll listen. And yeah, there are times, but Vanessa Nygaard has said things, and I think, like you said, with the athletes, chapter 1, how to handle yourself in chapter 2. It's funny because I think they open the book. A lot of them open the book past those chapters and don't read them with some of the stuff we have to talk about. Which again,
Yes.
at least it gives us a job in writing and talking about it. No, but it's to me for her, it's just the timing doesn't look good. And yes, would she get signed again? Again, I'm not going to be out here and when athletes have done it before, I'm like, well, it's not like they're not going to find a home. Somebody's going to be like, okay, but
Right.
I mean, she's not going to be with anybody for the playoff run, so it's not like she's, she can't force her way, out that way. But it's fun. Like we're talking about last night with the retirements. Like it's frustrating and it's annoying because it's a team that I'm like, okay, if they dealt with all this, Taurasi goes down. All right, Skylar can, the last 2 games, Diamond Shields. I'm like, it'll be okay. Sophie Cunningham. I'm like, they can battle. They can grind out some wins, and it's just now. I mean, this hits, and it's like, man, it's. I guess if the track, the train really did come off the tracks, but because she's also done broadcasts for the Suns. I don't know, like during the season.
I do know that.
Yeah, a few times she did on the Bally Sports Arizona here. Like it would be, her and Eddie Johnson. Eddie Johnson's analyst anyway, but she would join. I mean, and she's obviously very good at it, knows the game. But she had that going with them. So, I mean, not that if she went anywhere else, she couldn't do it for another team. But man, it's and the other tough thing too is that we haven't really brought up when we're talking about team, but and again, you're leaving your team. So if it is something serious, they're going to understand, but you're still leaving your teammates in any sport kind of hanging out to dry. And that to me is like reading all this. And like I said, all that stuff that started with the All-Star game. And then her name was, are they going to trade her? It's like, I get it. Somebody could ask the question and, every GM says, well, we're always listening to, or, oh, so-and-so's it's one of 3 things. You get the vote of confidence, like, Eric, we're not trading you. We'd never trade you. And then 2 days later, you're on a plane from, actually a good plane from Philly to Dallas and you're blowing up. But anyway.
Okay. All right.
No, but all kidding aside, like you get that, you get, oh, we're never trading you. You get GMs saying, well, or coach, well, obviously we can't talk about any players. And the GM's like, but, are they can talk about theirs and like, oh, no, but of course we have. It's like, I want Eric here, but, oh, well, if anybody calls, we have to listen to every offer. So players are like, okay, great. Or you get oh, we never trade you and you're traded. We get, well, oh, no, we're not going to get rid of anybody. But, if the phone rings, we have to do our due diligence and listen. So everybody's ears kind of perks up like, okay, well, let's see what we can offer them. Or you just get like, or you just get the runaround from the team is what I always say. Is like, in basketball, we've always seen too. And, baseball, a guy might not play for a few games leading up to the trade deadline, but basketball, it's like guy just, oh, he didn't play tonight. Coach's decision. Your second leading scorer didn't play tonight, the whole night. He's not hurt.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be those types of questions when things don't happen. Listen, I'm gonna end it with this. Again, I'm looking at the roster right now, and you mentioned Diamond DeShields. There's Sophie Cunningham. Of course, you've got Shea Petty, and you've also got Brianna Turner. And my hope is that these last 2 games that they got left, one against the Dallas Wings and then their final regular season game against the Chicago Sky, my hope is that the Phoenix Mercury can at least end the season maybe getting back to the playoffs. But if they don't, there's going to be a lot of questions this offseason about the future of Vanessa Nygaard, about the future of Diana Taurasi, and now the future of one Skylar Diggins-Smith when it guards to the Phoenix Mercury. Mike, I appreciate you jumping on this with me, brother. Hey, everybody, we'll be back Monday night like we always do, breaking down the AFC East. But for Mike here at Snudo, Believe in the Pac-12 podcast, and your man Eric Wilson, Sports Arena, we just had to jump on and talk about this. We will holler at y'all at a later time. Peace.